live here on your own.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Happy birthday.
Here I am with my partner in arms, brother in crime, Zombie. Let me just do a little clapper here. I forgot to put the mic on it. So we made this idea of looking at the most essential AI films, the best AI films we could find. This is all of them. We're going to go through them, basically rank them worst to best. What makes an AI film is that it is about the AI topic specifically. I think a lot of this recording is going to be us trying to talk about what makes an AI film and what doesn't. But like The Matrix isn't on here, right? The Terminator films are not on here because those are basically just, robot survival movies. But you get the idea.
Yeah, I think that more or less covers it.
Weirdly enough, I don't think it's been done that well in film. It's been done well in film that weren't about AI specifically. Try to narrow things down to films that are just about AI, you actually have a much smaller list. There's also like AI video games and stuff.
Those are actually a lot better.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Mass Effect, which has a lot of AI stuff.
System Shock.
There's plenty of examples. So number 12. Ghost in the Shell remake. I have a couple points. I forgot to make notes, but what are your initial thoughts about Ghost in the Shell remake?
Animation supremacy. That's my initial thought. The remake in 2017 is regrettably an example of why things in live action are not just instantly better. And unfortunately, a live action Ghost in the Shell, if we were going to do that, I feel like the 2010s was one of the worst times for us to do that. And our aesthetics were just all wrong. It's number 12 for a reason.
The thing about it, I have an idea here. Generally speaking, my impression of there's like two types of sci-fi, okay? Dirty sci-fi or messy sci-fi, which is the sci-fi where you have a lot of detail on the screen, you have, lots of props, you have lots of, gadgets and gizmos and wires and, whatever. The set design is like complicated. And then you have the clean sci-fi look. So like The Matrix is more of the dirty, messy look, and Mass Effect, because that's the first thing in my mind, is more of the clean. For Ghost in the Shell, this is obvious to anyone where I'm going with this. The original is the messy sci-fi look, and the remake is the clean sci-fi look. I don't know why you would do that. Like, it makes no sense given what you're basing the original on. I think this is most noticeable in the scenes where she's in the hospital. I don't know if you noticed, but the hospital thing just has this plastic rubber tarp along the walls that serves no function, as part of the decoration. It's like there's nothing else to the set design except that. The surgery machine that's doing surgery on her, it's so high tech that it's just magic. There's no wires connected to it or plugged in. It's like I don't know why you would go for the clean sci-fi look for Ghost in the Shell. Like if you watched the original, it's like there's nothing clean about this, right? It's so weird that they chose to do that. I mean, and it's not even just a budget reason either, because they have things from the original in it. It's not that this couldn't be a clean sci-fi. The cleanness doesn't go with it at all. It just feels very empty.
Which I think is actually a really good way to kind of pivot to talk about the rest of this film. This film really does lack character. Scarlett Johansson is not naked. She's in a suit that's very obviously a suit. And I know that sounds weird.
That's your reason. Okay.
Well, hold on. This matters. I'll talk about it more later, but this is one of the important things about animation is that it allows you to bypass the kind of issue of, well, your actress or actors don't want to necessarily get naked in your film. The character of the Major is a person who is supposed to not really view herself as a human anymore. She doesn't respect her own sense of being, so she doesn't have any shame because she doesn't really care. And that is something that's completely devoid from this film. These little details all add up. One of the really amazing opening scenes, it's missing from this one is the memory like hijacking, especially
No,
because
it's in the film. It's
it's
in the film.
but they treat it completely differently.
They do, yeah. They treat things in this movie that in the original were just kind of background, almost parts of the setting, as like important plot points. Like the main character having his fake eyes is a whole plot point. It's not a plot point in the original film. They make it a plot point here, which like also stretches the runtime of the film longer than it needs to be. There's other shit that just wasn't important that didn't need to be there. Like they have Takeshi Kitama in the film who speaks Japanese, you know, on his own. I get why they're doing it. He's important, but like it doesn't serve any purpose. It actually adds nothing. It's just weird. She's going through the other robot's mind and she gets attacked by a virus. That whole sequence looks like someone designed it to look like a nightmare. If this were the original, it would be designed, you know, to look more like a robot with a glitch or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just Hollywood bullshit. Like, I don't know what else to call it.
Which honestly, like if we were to just sum up this movie, that's what it is.
It's 2 hours of Scarlett Johansson looking confused at the camera. It's not an acting thing either. That's not on her. That's a directing thing. That she was instructed.
100%.
She was instructed, you're questioning your identity. Who are you? So we should mention here too, we're not just analyzing these as movies. Part of the point here is to like understand what makes a good AI film. The artificial intelligence question. All of these movies, as we were going through them, like they get into that question a little bit in different ways. Ghost in the Shell remake gets into almost none of them. It answers almost none of the relevant AI questions. I guess it's the only movie where you have an AI that's actually based on a person. Spoiler alert. So in the original, she questions whether or not she's based on a person. And this is like left mysterious. You don't actually know. And in the remake, it is canonically established that she is just based on this person who just was killed by this evil corporation and made into a robot. I don't know why, but that makes it so cringe. It, like answering the question about her own identity defeats the purpose of why that question is interesting in the original, because the world is so technologized that you don't know. You don't actually know where the line between man and machine is anymore. But the stupid ass remake deflates. Do you know what I mean? It deflates the tension of that entire idea.
No, I 100% agree. A slight correction. We don't actually know in the original whether or not the Major is originally a robot or a person. As far as she is presented, she's always been a person, but she questions her identity. And part of that's really important, the fact that like the memory stuff is so common in the world. Like you can just get hacked and your memories can be like implanted, right? So that's why she kind of questions everything, and she doesn't really know if she's human or not. And I agree with your assessment.
I don't even really want to talk about this movie for that long because we're just going to get deeper into talking about the original, but I think it tries to answer questions that the source asks in a way that leaves you less satisfied. Probably the biggest flaw with it. It's like F tier, like it's at the bottom. Okay.
Bladerunner 2049.
I guess
Right.
you could debate whether this is an AI film. The original is arguably not an AI film. The remake absolutely is because of Joy. We aren't judging them strictly as movies. We're judging them in terms of how they deal with the AI concept. But it's not easy to separate the two. I mean, this film has such a high rating on IMDb. People like it. I had issues with it. I almost wish the Joy thing was a bigger part of the film. Instead, the whole replicant storyline didn't really need to exist. Like it was especially got convoluted at the end where they're like doing a revolution against Jared Leto, I guess.
Hold on. This is where this movie is really stupid. They're doing a revolution where the leader is supposed to be like the chosen one, and the chosen one is the only replicant who's ever been born.
Yes.
Right? Not created. But the problem is they're doing a revolution against a new corporation that is ran by a replicant. His purpose, he's trying to find the MacGuffin girl, just like everyone else, because he wants to figure out how she was born so he can make replicants that can actually reproduce. This guy is actually just on the side of the rebels. So we have like two rebels fighting against each other, and it's not really smart about it either. It's not like the rebels have really different ways of operating. It's just aesthetics. They're basically Matrix cosplayers that have been like living as hobos for like a decade, and because that's the aesthetic of the revolution, they're the good guys.
I don't know if there's any other like depth to it than that. Like this movie sets up a whole like MCU for Blade Runner. There's going to be other shows that come out. Maybe they get into it there, but it does so little work to like justify its plot. Denis Villeneuve is undeniably a very competent director, so I don't know what happened. Why is it?
Oh my god, it's the horse that we fucking knew it was gonna be because of course. Holy shit.
All of the replicant stuff sucked. Like none of it was interesting at all, and it made no sense, and it was a weird kind of soft reboot of the events of Blade Runner in a way that didn't really change anything or dig us deeper into the kind of like existential questions. I think one of the problems with the whole replicant thing, replicants have no personality. The main character, Kay, who's Ryan Gosling, he is a replicant and he has like no personality, like almost none. He is very stone-faced the whole time. You're supposed to infer that he is like dealing with some sort of existential thing, and he kind of is. And this is kind of a problem with the AI thing in general, because how do you make a story interesting about a character who's a robot with no emotions? Now, of course, replicants aren't robots.
They're biomechanical.
They're biomechanical androids. They're Cylons, okay? They're Cylons. But there's still an issue where like he is played too flat. Like there's got to be a way to have these robots show more personality, especially if they're biomechanical. The replicants should basically be human. Just on a presentation level, you have a problem. It comes across as very flat, number one. Number two, replicants don't actually make sense as like a source of conflict in the world because they're not sufficiently different from people to be the source of so much angst. They're essentially human. They look human. They have fleshy, skinny parts. They more or less behave human. The only thing that's different about them is that they're kind of stronger. You would think that people in the world are kind of replicant worshippers, right? Like you'd think people would be eager to either be with replicants or have replicants around, like they're overpowered, right? But no one ever has that perspective in this world where we just pretend that that doesn't exist. In order to be the whole dark sci-fi thing, it's trying to present something that does not fundamentally make sense. Like you can make the world dark and grisly without having replicants be universally hated. There would be groups of people, organizations that empower some sort of replicant supremacy.
My counter to this, because I don't disagree with you, but there is a counter argument to be made, and it helps clarify your point. In the original, they were essentially a slave class. They only had a 4-year lifespan, and they rebelled against Earth, which is why they ended up being banned on Earth of
But then they
damage.
retconned all of this in this movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem, is that this is what I just gave you is a defense for the original Blade Runner, but it is not a good defense for what they're doing in Blade Runner 2049. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever. I want us to talk about Joy, because I think we should talk about Joy and move on from this movie. Joy is the best part of this movie, and it's not close. And like the first scene that you have with her, it's this really cool thing where she's in the other room and you don't see her. And then finally she's projected. You know, when she's bringing him food, she's got like a 1950s housewife thing going on. And then when she's being like playful, she kind of like swaps over to like a tomboy look or something, and she's like wants to go out in the town, so she changes her outfit and her hairstyle and everything. It's really cool. They walk outside, and it's the first time she's ever been outside, and rain is falling, and she simulates the rain on her skin because she can't actually like feel it, but she makes it look like it's touching her skin. And the entire sort of emotional thing, the whole reveal AI girlfriend stuff is really interesting.
It's confusing.
I just wish it is confusing, and I wish the movie was just about that.
My impression just from reading about the film is that a lot of that stuff was intended to be some type of like feminist commentary, women as objects of consumption. I mean, that went over my head. I didn't feel that at all watching the Joy
It's
scenes.
really bad commentary, and that's part of the
Or
problem.
maybe that was Villeneuve's point with the film in general, but like the issue is that if you want to make that commentary, why you also make Joy so damn cool? Because like you said, all of the effects that went into her and all of the stuff that she does is just so interesting and vivid to look at. And just I want to also just gush about the effects. I had to pause the film. You wouldn't be able to rotoscope her, right? Because they actually get the background behind her in the shot in order to then make her transparent. The way they would do that is they would just overlay the two shots in post and change her opacity to make her transparent. The crazy thing to do this is that in a lot of the scenes, she's moving, but so is the camera. And that's actually very unusual. If you look at a lot of movies where they have something that's invisible, the camera's usually stationary. It doesn't move a whole lot. The camera needs to shoot the object and the stuff behind the object to get the invisibility. But they somehow managed to do it in this film where the camera is very kind of alive in the scenes with Joy, and you can see through her at the same time. It's very, very cool. I don't know why they wanted to say that, you know, this movie's a critique or something of her, because Joy is the only pleasant part of the film. They also recreate the sex scene from her. She hires a sex worker to be the flesh while she gets to be the face. And so with these AI films, one of the things that we think about is how predictive they are. This is a thing that does feel like it could be kind of predictive. If you eventually had these, you know, electronic AI cyber girlfriends, that could be something that you see people doing, you know, sex through a biological surrogate.
Yeah, no, it is a really interesting concept. I like the scene that they do it in this movie way more than in her.
Well, they don't do it in her. They tease the idea in her.
They tease the idea in her. One of the things that I really like, the prostitute has to basically like anticipate where the robot is moving her hands and her body, and you kind of see them go into sync and out of sync.
So like a lot of these artificial intelligence films, just because of the subject matter, are just like socially alienating. Humans interacting with robots and what does it mean to be human and all that shit. It's very alienating. That scene is done in a way that feels actually kind of warm. You don't feel grossed out. You don't feel cold. Like you don't feel the kind of austerity of the depressing neo-noir cyberpunk world. And then they take all of it away at the end of the film where Joy is just like, I don't even understand what the point of that scene is.
The point of that scene is to be commentary. It's trying to say that everything Joy felt for the main character was just artificial, and at the end of the day, she was just a product. It didn't really matter. At least that's what I'm taking away from that.
You're correct. The thing is that it's a betrayal of the audience, because that makes sense in that scene with the pink Joy. It makes no sense in all the other scenes because Joy is demonstrated to be very authentic, and her affection for the character is very lifelike and real. It feels that way enough for the audience to care. So I don't know what the hell they were trying to do. Also, just a small thing, why the fuck are her eyes black? Like, you're advertising her to be this lifelike AI girlfriend, girl next door, who's as human as can be. Why are her eyes black? Who wants to date a demon girl with demon eyes? I don't know.
A lot of people.
Fair enough. I'm just not the same. I'm a vanilla boy with vanilla tastes.
Baldur's Gate 3. If you know, you know.
I don't know what else to say. Like, I want to talk more about all of our frustrations with the world. Like, we were watching this and both of us had all these questions about the Blade Runner universe.
There's not much to say. This is not a good film, and it's certainly not a good AI film. It's barely an AI film.
But it does show the relationship you could have with an AI that lives in a box like a thermostat in a way that feels compelling. I think that's something that it has.
You are the dumbest smart person I have ever met in my life.
Number 10.
iRobot.
This is based off of a book.
No, it's actually not. I looked this up. It's not based on a book.
Oh, I thought it was based off of a book.
No. Blade Runner is based off of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. iRobot is the name of a short story collection.
Okay.
But the actual plot of the movie has nothing to do with that at all. Even though it includes the 3 laws, it's got nothing to do with any of Isaac Asimov's Asimov's work, but it makes a lot of sense because there's another
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov movie on the list, and that one, very different writing than Will Smith's iRobot. So parts of this film might actually be predictive in a weird way. The film takes place in 2036, and you have humanoid robots doing all this stuff. That might actually happen by 2036, like in 10 years. We're seeing, more robotic stuff coming out. So this may actually be possible. The part that's not predictive at all is that there's, all the other stuff that AI does with all the language models and all the other pure software shit.
I think that's something we should bring up now. What you're going to see with a lot of these films is that the development of AI is wrong. Most of these films come with the idea of you build the robots first and then eventually you build the AI.
Yeah.
What they got wrong is that our AI is basically just giant LLM.
Yeah, it actually seems like it's the other way around. Getting the AI to talk human, sound human, understand natural language, much easier than getting it to move and look human, which almost every film in the list gets wrong. That's why Blade Runner, weirdly enough, is more predictive, but predictiveness is not the only criteria that we're judging the films by.
You can watch this movie because it has Will Smith, and it's pre-breakdown Will Smith. This is Will Smith back when Will Smith was a god.
Will Smith is very cool. He's very fun.
Oh, hell no.
He does a lot of work for this movie. He's treated like a racist, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But his whole hang-up is that he hates robots because he got into a car crash and a robot comes down and chooses to save him over this girl because Will Smith is more likely to survive. Then, of course, as a human, Will Smith is like, no, that's stupid, save the girl. And so he takes that personally and hates robots because he basically views them as actors. Well, they choose almost like they have like a culture of being robotic. Everyone else in the film does not treat the robots with any level of agency whatsoever.
They almost don't view them as artificial intelligence. They almost view them as just automata, calculators, bound by the 3 laws to just be perfect. And Will Smith is the only one who, despite being essentially racist to robots, is the only one who's actually treating them more humanly. He's able to recognize that they have agency. He's the first one to be able to recognize this in the whole movie. The movie's, of course, very silly. In the real world, we have had computer scientists, writers talking about machines being intelligent for decades and decades. In the iRobot world, it's like no one is even remotely aware that this is possible. Like everyone is astonished that the robots are breaking the 3 laws, that they're that they're malfunctioning, that they're capable of any kind of independent choice. Everyone's just completely blown away by this. That's probably the stupidest thing in the film.
Oh, it's flying cars.
There's flying cars in this, in iRobot?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
No, there's no flying cars. There's no flying cars.
Okay.
There's just
you're
very
right.
high-tech cars and rail systems and stuff. Yeah, it's just a kind of a lot of like 2000s CGI. It's not super duper good. It's got some nice Will Smith one-liners.
All because of an irrational paranoia and prejudice.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
I also do kind of like the robot look. It's distinguished. I remember it better than the robot look in Ghost in the Shell, or they look kind of like droids from Star Wars. Yeah, but other than that human racist like recognition of their agency thing, there's not much else. This film feels like the 1960s James Bond equivalent of the AI film franchise. like it's the goofiest one on the list.
My logic is undeniable.
You have so got to die.